So, good evening. My name is Teplitzky Dunayer. I'm the co-managing partner of Teplitzky Dunayer Team at Douglas Elliman. And together with Jackie Teplitzky, my business partner and my co-managing partner of the team, we'd like to welcome you to our team's event at the Harmonie Club. The Harmonie Club is one of the oldest clubs in the country. It is voted by Platinum Clubs of America as one of the top 50 city clubs in the United States. It has a very rich history, and yesterday, I don't know if you know this, there's a few club members here, but yesterday, on October 24th, it was the club's 170th anniversary. It's a great place. October 24th, 1852. So my wife, Yael, and I became members of the club last year, and we celebrated so many beautiful moments here. We met so many beautiful people in here, and we are thrilled to host our team's event here in this beautiful space with all of you. So thank you for coming. Our team's coverage extends to New York City, to South Florida, and the Hamptons. And today, we're recognizing all of you, our family, our friends, our clients, our vendors, and our referral partners. All of you, we owe our development and success. And to all of you, we want to say a big thank you for all your support, and thank you for coming this evening. Now, special thanks Jackie and I want to extend to our team members. Without them, none of this would ever be possible. All of you, the Teplitzky Dunayer Team, you work so hard every day, you keep raising the bar, and you set new standards for service and for excellence, and the results are there month after month, year after year, in our team's milestones and achievements. So Teplitzky Dunayer Team, I'm going to call your names, so please identify yourselves by raising your hand. So our marketing and social media director, also holding the camera here, Ms. Mehek Lamba Hayde. Operations, Iman Saleh and Jenny Valenzuela. Staging and design, my wife, Yael Dunayer. New York sales team, Adrian Radomski, Julio Izquierdo, Joseph Chaplin, and Alex Sandoval. South Florida sales team, Kent Campbell and Tata Yanguas. Thank you all, you're all amazing. Final thanks this evening goes to Mr. Howard Lorber, the executive chairman of our great company, Douglas Elliman. Howard is also a member of the Harmonie Club. And you should all know that Howard does not only sign our checks, but his signature also appears on the membership application Yael and I submitted to the club last year. He was our proposer. So thank you, Howard, for that. So Howard, everybody here came to listen to you, so I'll stop talking really soon. But we all want to thank you so much for your support. And now, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my business partner, Jackie Teplitzky, who will formally introduce Howard Lorber. Thank you all, and enjoy the evening.
Erev Tov, buenas noches, in all the languages that I speak. So I know that you are all want to hear Howard's resume, but actually I'm not going to give it to you. You can Google him, you're going to see him on Bloomberg, you're going to see him every Tuesday and Wednesday on CNBC, but I want to talk about Howard as a person. So I want to say that Howard has been on my side and then on Barak's and my side forever. I joined Douglas Elliman in 2003, Howard. This is how long I have been at Douglas Elliman. And Doesn't matter if the markets are up, markets are down. We, as a team, have to always excel, and we always have to do better than anybody else. And I remember sitting in Howard's office, who is a person that you call him any time of the day, and he will answer his cell phone. It's unbelievable. Also, he has 3 secretaries, and nobody can keep up with his calendar. He has his calendar in his head. Never understood how this gentleman flies around the world, flies around the country, invests in real estate. You know, he puts basically money into real estate. He owns a lot of other businesses besides Douglas Elliman. So I always looked up to him. So when I wanted to partner up, I went and we brainstormed and we did basically a business plan together at 5 minutes. Because with him, time is money. So because time is money, we are going to get Howard on the podium because he has to fly somewhere else tonight. All right? So thank you from the bottom of our heart that you have been by our side. And also thank you for agreeing to come and speak to us tonight about the wisdom of real estate.
I'm just going to speak for a few minutes, and I'm happy to take questions. I think one of the issues today when you're looking at the real estate markets is what do you measure it against? And the problem is that the so-called smart people on television talking about real estate, talking about finance, they think that 2021 should be the base year that you measure everything from. The problem with that is that was the best year that any of real estate brokerage companies have had in business, no matter how long they've been in business. So to start to measure it from what happened in 2021 is sort of not really great, but it makes headlines that we're all going to be down in 2022, even though 2022 will probably be, I know for us, 2022 will be the second best year we've ever had after 2021. But that gets sort of dismissed. And really, no one really knows, no one really has a reason. They say maybe pent-up demand. But I don't really see it was pent-up demand, but how 2021 happened. And realistically, it couldn't have been really pent-up demand because there really was no demand before COVID. If you look at the last 3 years before, 17, 18, 19, were not such good years. The state and federal, you had the loss of the state tax deduction, you had an increase in the mortgage tax, you had all sorts of things change that affected real estate in New York and New York City especially. So I don't really know where the pent-up demand came, but we surely had a lot of fun. 2021 was really a lot of fun. Just to look at New York, I have a very simple view. Everyone's talking about all the people leaving New York, going to Florida. And it is. Florida has a pretty steady 1% population growth, but it's been going on for a long time. Not surprising, there is basically a flight of people in every state that's a no-tax state, which is just a fact of life. California has the same problems as New York, but Texas has the same good things happening as Florida. And those obviously are both no-tax, no-income tax states. And that really helps the real estate industry. We actually opened in Texas right before the pandemic, and it's a great market. And I think at some point, based on just the size of it, I think it could be the best market we have. Let me go to Florida and then come back to New York. Florida was completely insane in 2021. And if you look at, I'll start with Palm Beach. Now Palm Beach makes sense because it's supply constrained, it's an island, there's not a lot of inventory to begin with. I think there's only a couple thousand houses on the island. But we had properties that sold in the beginning of 2021 for $6 million. 6 months into 2021, it was flipped for $12 million. And by the end of the year, they were sold in the low 20s. And that wasn't one. There was lots of those because the onslaught of people coming, wanting to buy, and they just felt that we got to do it. We got to pay whatever we can pay, or whatever we have to pay. It was also the first time where I know our company alone did 3 sales over 100 million, including at the time the highest price one of about $145 million. And Ocean, that one was on the Ocean. But even the houses off the Ocean, okay, did great. 40, 50, 60, $70 million. So that is really what's happened, what did happen in Florida. And this year, Florida is still strong. There are still more buyers than sellers, okay? Which means there's really very little inventory. So there's not as much business, which is one of the reasons the companies are going to be down, because in a lot of these markets, you need sellers and buyers, right, to make a transaction. And it's very hard, because people that sell today in these good markets are always afraid, well, what do I do after I sell? What if I want another house? You know you're going to pay more. Miami is a little bit easier market to deal with at this point because it's a bigger market, Miami Beach. But it really went through the same run-up in prices, starting with COVID. And it was interesting because I've had a condo for the last 6 years. I had a condo on the beach at a building called Faena, which was a brand from South America. And it was great, and I really loved it. But then I decided I wanted a house. And I wanted a house on the water, because I'm a boater and I could keep my boat there. And so I finally found something in, I think, December of 19. Went to contract and was close. I had a closing date in April. Well, the closing date came and went. I hadn't gotten one offer for my apartment at Faena, so I was starting to get nervous about closing on the house on the water. But within a couple of months, we got some additional time. Within a couple of months, the prices took off. And what happened is, if you really look at what sold when, the first thing that sold in Miami Beach was every house on the water. Those were the first things to go. After that, it was basically every house, okay? Because there was no more water available. After that, it was the small boutique condo buildings. We had one of those near Bal Harbor that we had on the market for a few years. It was expensive apartments, but guess what? By the end of middle of 21, they were all gone. And then the next thing was all the condos, all the rest of the condos that had been sitting there for sale for years. Most of those sold also. So it was just a flight of all these people coming in and just wanting to buy something. And of course, the water was always really what most people wanted. And it was interesting because brokers started figuring pricing based on $1,000 a square foot of land that you were going to have the house on. So I paid, I think, $12 million for my house, $12.5 million. I had a 38,000 square foot lot, okay, on the open bay, about 185 feet of frontage. A mediocre house. It was a one-story. I hate stairs, so I always wear one-story houses. And by the time I closed and lived there for a few months, into 2021 in the beginning, I was getting offers in the high 30s, low 40s. Because 38,000, if you figure it times $1,000, that's 38 million. For something I paid 12 million for, not even a year before. It just made no sense. I liked it, but it made no sense. But then again, everyone sort of had a problem. As you know, my son has a small house in Palm Beach. I remember he paid $1.3 million for it about 8-9 years ago. And he has people knocking on the door, developers wanting to knock it down and build something bigger. It's like a cottage, 1,600, 1,700 feet. Paid $1.3 million, and he's gotten offers $6 to $7 million. But then he has the same problem. Where am I going to go if I sell this? Because there's really no place else to go. So this is sort of the history of what's happened since COVID for the last couple of years in South Florida. we'll do the Hamptons first because New York is a little more complicated sometimes. But the Hamptons did the same thing in 2021. First of all, the people that didn't have time to buy were all renting. You could rent a house that may be rented for $200,000 for a summer. The prior year was renting for $700,000 or $800,000. And I'm not exaggerating. That's really what happened out there. And the sales, we had a couple of very high-end sales. But by 2022, in the beginning, they didn't come back so fast. The renters come back in 2022. So things quieted down. It was nothing like 2021. But the sales market still held up. Prices came down a little bit, okay? It was actually a little easier to live there. I have a house in Southampton. I was there to summer, both summers, 2021 and 2022. And I will tell you, it was a little bit easier to live there in 2022 because you could drive places. The traffic was maybe down 40% of what it was before. Now we come to New York. So I have a very simple view of New York. I think that, and after I tell you, I'm going to tell you why I think it. I think that New York City is going to become the #1 second home city to the world. The whole world wants something in New York City. And that's why I'm very bullish on it. Now, I did my own little survey. It wasn't scientific, but everyone I ran into or knew that moved from New York to Florida, I asked them the same question. I said, did you sell your Florida home, or should it be your New York home or apartment? The answer, out of all 25 people, not one of them sold it. So what does that mean? What does that mean to us? Really what it means is that they're not really sure, maybe yet, although the ones that took their kids out of school in New York and got them into private schools there, I think are staying, whatever. And some may leave, at some point, or some may just want to keep it because they want to still have the connection to New York. When we think about it, New York has some of everything. It has the greatest restaurants, the greatest hotels, every sports teams. I mean, there's really nothing about opera, ballet. There's really nothing you can't do within New York, and I think that's really what's happening. The other problem, by the way, in people with kids in school age coming down to Florida is that Florida public schools are not really great. Not that I think that New York City public schools are really great, but they're not really great. And the difference between New York City and Florida, to combat that, for years, there have been new private schools opening up in New York City, like Hamptons, okay? Which, by the way, is now building a big campus in Miami. It'll be open probably two years from now. But that's very important. And so that's sort of a good thing to be happening in Florida. And so maybe there will still be this group of people that are going to keep coming down to Florida, or moving down, or trying to move down. And ultimately, the people I spoke to really were only there a short time already, when I asked them. So who knows, I think the interesting would be to go back and find out where they are 5 years from now.